Good afternoon, Michael Havers here from Penn News, and today we're in Enfield, part of the Enfield Southgate constituency, and it was this constituency that gave us the Portillo moment. Michael Portillo was the Conservative MP for Parliament here back in 1997 and was hotly tipped to be perhaps the next Conservative leader and maybe even a future Prime Minister. But it wasn't to be. He surprisingly and shockingly and most unexpectedly lost his seat here, and the voters of Enfield Southgate turfed him out in favour of a younger Labour candidate. Well, the voters of Enfield Southgate are going to be going to the polls in just a couple of days' time to vote for the next Mayor of London, and the question I'm here to ask them today is whether they might inflict another upset on a comfortable incumbent candidate who looks to be safely returned to office. I am of course referring to the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, a Labour Mayor who is seeking a historic third term in office. Now, we already did a video speaking to voters in London about Sadiq Khan just a couple of weeks ago. That was down in the centre of London. I encourage you to go back and check that out. You'll find that the views on Mr Khan even there were decidedly mixed, but the views in the comment section were not. A lot of you guys really hate Sadiq Khan. But what do the voters here in Enfield think? Well, we're going to ask them. So how do you feel Sadiq Khan's done during his time as Mayor of London?
I think he's awful. Absolutely awful. He needs shooting.
Needs shooting. What do you think he's done badly?
The cars with the 1250. I mean, that's a load of rubbish. You can drive your car as much as you like if you pay 1250. How's that cleaning the air?
That's you mean the ultra low emission zone?
Yeah,
thing?
that's it.
Yeah, the ULEZ as they call it. What else have you found objectionable?
Well, to be honest, the police. What he's done with the police, we don't see any policemen walking about now.
Yeah.
All this stabbing and killing, we never had that years ago.
Yeah.
You know, I know things have changed, but no, I don't like him, and I hope he gets out. I really do.
I'm a driver, so I'm not entirely happy with the ULEZ policy that he's introduced.
Can I ask, have you been personally affected by ULEZ?
I have. I've had to change my car.
Right.
And I've had to dip into my pension money because of it. Yeah, I'm a musician, and the issue I have is I want to make sure everything I transport can fit in a boot.
If you don't mind sharing, and it's fine if you would rather not, how much does it cost you to change cars?
It cost me £14,000.
£14,000?
To get a car that I thought was reliable enough to see me. Ideally, this would want to be the only car I buy.
Yeah.
As the previous one was. So yeah, I've just hopefully bought something that's going to see me until I die.
Yeah. Do you blame Sadiq Khan for that expenditure that you've had?
I wouldn't have bought a new car if it wasn't for ULEZ.
Because I've been personally affected by some of his decisions.
Right.
Not so much from me as a person, but the voluntary groups that I work with have had massive impacts by, you know, the ULEZ and the congestion charge, etc. Now, I understand we need climate and clean air, etc. But his policies have really hit the very deprived, and especially around this area. Okay, they do drive old cars, and we keep being told what decisions being made now are actually not for us, it's for a generation's time. And it just feels as though we're being forgotten, like we're being forced with cycleways, we're being forced with things.
How do you feel about Sadiq Khan and his time in office so far? How do you think he's getting on?
Actually terribly.
Right. What do you think he's done badly?
Knife crime's gone up. The ULEZ charge, I disagree with that. Not so much the charge, but the surveillance state that the ULEZ charge is kind of allowed to come in. Everywhere looks grubby. Lots of parts of London look like the third world.
I'm very disappointed about the public transport. I'm very passionate about the transport in London because it's one of the most expensive transport systems in the world, and I feel that he hasn't invested enough money into the tube and the buses and the local transport. Unfortunately, the system sometimes doesn't always work. With all the strikes going on, a lot of the underground system now is broken. It all needs to be repairing. I'm disappointed in him in that way, and I'm disappointed in the secondary of the crime that's going on in London, with all the knife crime in different boroughs. Young people, mainly 16-year-olds, seem to be stabbing and killing one another, and I think it's very sad that the young people have become like this in London, and I feel Mr Khan could have done more.
I think he's a selfish man. He works for himself. He has got not a clue about the common man, really, although he spouts that he has. If you can drive around in a big flashy car and then expect poor people to pay ULEZ charges, he hasn't got a clue, really.
First of all, let's start with Sadiq Khan. How do you think he's done as Mayor of London?
I'm very disappointed.
Why are you disappointed?
All the changes negatively kind of discriminating against cars, traffic, generally, I suppose, shop owners and stuff that can't do their businesses.
Yeah.
I find the whole thing a little bit politically biased, just put it that way.
And before we continue, can I just encourage those of you who are watching on YouTube to check out the Pen News Substack at pennews.substack.com. That's Pen News, pennews.substack.com, where you can find our weekly Vox Pops in full with analysis, as well as all the other stories we're working on in the course of the given week. And if you're on YouTube, can I also encourage you to slap a like on it and subscribe if you find this content in any way engaging. And if you disagree with something that someone's saying here, or if you agree with them all the same, then drop us a comment, let us know how you feel. Alright, thanks very much, let's carry on. Have you given any thought to how you might vote in the upcoming mayoral race?
Yes, I probably will vote for the SDP.
SDP? I didn't even know they were still going, the SDP.
They are going, yes, very much so.
Okay, fair enough. Well, how do you feel about I guess the nearest challenger is Susan Hall. Have you had any thoughts about her?
Well, she's a Tory, isn't she? Right. You know, we've had 13 years of Tory government, and they've not done as much good, have they really?
I've been thinking about it a lot, and what really annoys me is that there are too many candidates. You really need one strong candidate to stand against. I shouldn't say, I nearly said Genghis Khan, but there's too many candidates. It's a diluted vote, and I can't see any real way of getting Khan out.
Sure.
Which is a shame.
So, will you vote or will you just stay?
Oh no, I can't. I mean, women died for the vote. I will vote.
Yeah. And do you have any idea who you'll vote for?
No, the booklet only came this morning, so I've got to read through.
And how are you minded to vote in the mayoral race?
Voting for Susan Hall. I'm not. If I thought Reform had a chance, I would vote for Harold Cox.
Right.
But I don't think he's got a chance. I think the only person who can hopefully get him out is Susan Hall, so I'm voting for Susan Hall.
Susan Hall. And can I ask, in previous mayoral races, have you tended to go Conservative or have you sort of mixed it up a bit?
No, I've given up a bit on Conservative. I must admit I used to like Boris Johnson.
Right.
And I thought that was a shame he got boosted out.
Right.
But so I'm going to vote Reform.
Reform in the general.
Yeah.
I've had no real engagement with anybody.
Right.
That doesn't mean to say I won't vote, and it may well be a case that we'll vote as we always have voted.
Are you happy to say how that is?
No.
No, okay.
Other than what's see on sort of TV, there's been nothing, certainly in where I live, sort of locally telling me what each of these people stand for. Right. And it's not just actually about the mayoral race, it's also about the London Assembly, and it's people that are going to be representing us, and we've not seen any information. We see our local councillors and we do have contact with our local councillors, but the London Assembly is a bigger body and actually has more control over us than I think we actually realise, but they're not telling us.
I've been voting for the animal welfare movement,
okay.
For Animal for People, for the Mayor of London. I was going to vote Reform Party, but I found out a few other details about them, I'm not sure, because I really fed up with the Conservatives.
Of course, yeah.
So Susan Hall, I'm not voting for her because she has no idea about anything about transport in London. She's got no idea how to cost the bus fare, the tube, the train, and I'm so disappointed in her. I can't vote for her. My heart's not there. Even though Mr. Khan's made a lot of mistakes, he will be my second vote at the moment. There's a lot of people I meet in my life working in London. Everyone's against Khan. Everyone doesn't like him.
Interesting.
All different generations. And most of it's down to his transport policies. He's thinking of this rumour going around that he may have charging people £1 per mile with the cars, and a lot of people being put off by that. that will be the collapse of London, I think, if he goes ahead with his policy.
I think he's probably going to get in again.
Yeah.
I won't be voting for him. I'm not sure who I'm going to vote for. Potentially Susan Hall, who says she's going to scrap ULEZ on day one.
And I'm all for the new mayor, and I support her 100%.
You say the new mayor, do you mean the closest challenger, which is...
No, admittedly she's not mayor yet, but hopefully she will be.
We're talking about Susan Hall, the Conservative candidate.
Absolutely.
Would it be fair to say you're now down for Susan Hall?
I am. Well, we had a charity evening, and she was the speaker, and she won me over. Let's just hope we have some better changes. Been here 50 years now, and I don't like the changes. Not because I'm afraid of change, but I don't like the changes that are affecting so many businesses.
Have you got any hopes for the mayoral race?
No.
None at all?
No. the demographic of London is such now that Sadiq Khan will win.
Right. Do you think there's any chance of getting rid of him, or is it just as long as he decides to stay, he's going to be able to stay?
No, I think as long as he decides to stay, you know, as someone says, you could put a red rosette on a pig in London and they will be voted in these days.